All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here. Like I said in the open, I'm here with Rick Ritter. So, Rick, introduce yourself, man. Tell the people who you are if they don't know already.
Hey everyone, Rick Ritter here with Channel 13, WJZ evening anchor. I do the 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 11 o'clock news for WJZ. Great station, family-oriented station, and love working in the city of Baltimore and working with literally the best viewers in the country. It's an absolute blessing.
Yes, sir. If you guys don't know, I've been a fan of Rick for years. My mom actually put me on to him, so I've always watched the news. It's like 2015.
Mom, thank you, Mom.
Yes, sir. Yes, I was a senior in high school, and she put me on to Rick, and I always liked him. He was always had a cool fit on, even when he was out in the field. Like he was always fresh. I was like, that guy has some swag. So a couple years after that, like I tweeted Rick about something he did, and he ended up following me on Twitter. And after that, our relationship together grew, and it's been, history ever since. I'm extremely happy to have him on. So I'm going to ask Rick a couple of questions, and we'll see what he has to say for us. So, Rick, first of all, man, what made you get into the media field?
So I think as a kid, I was always fascinated with the camera and just being in front of the camera. I remember, being at Flyers or Eagles games, or at least down in the city of Philadelphia, and seeing the news van going by or seeing the cameras out, and always trying to find my way to get in front of that camera. It's something that I had a passion for as a kid. And then when I got to college, I got the opportunity playing football at Widener University to host my own football show with a coach. Something they knew I was interested in. They said, take it. And I kind of just ran with it. It was kind of my niche, started from the bottom, worked your way up a little bit, got comfortable in front of the camera. And knew that was something that I wanted to pursue as far as the rest of my life. It's not an easy industry to crack into, but I think that it's the only industry, a lot of student athletes and athletes in general, when you're done playing collegiate sports, you don't really know what to do next. You're looking for something to carry out that competitive mindset, if you will. Television, to me, is the only other industry where you are judged every single play, just like football. Literally, every time you're in front of the camera, every sentence, every word you say, you are being judged. And to me, that's the competitive aspect of it that was similar to football and that I can relate to. I fell in love with it, obviously, and it's something I've been doing since. And it's a strong passion. And I feel like it's a huge blessing to be able to do what I love every single day of the week.
Yes, sir. I can definitely agree with that. I've always been somebody who's, loved the camera. My first real exposure to it, like actual in studio, I was in the 5th grade. I was a sound guy. First of all, I worked in the sound. I would do the, knobs, make sure everybody's mics was right. And one day, this girl was sick, and it was like on sports day. It was our big sports day, and everybody was at school excited, and we were going to go play field games and everything. And I had to fill in as the weather guy. So I had a John Cena shirt on. I was super nervous, but I was like ready for this. I've been waiting for this moment. And I crushed it. And after that, I was the weather guy for the rest of the school year. So I've been doing this forever, man. It's
John Cena gave you some superpowers, man.
Yeah. I needed that.
It's funny to say that because you mentioned sound, and that's what a lot of people don't get. And we'll get into this. You literally have to do every job in this industry to work your way up. I remember being an intern in Philadelphia at Comcast Sportsnet. I was a senior in college. I just got done hosting that football show. Didn't have any jobs lined up outside of college yet. And when I worked for them, they would let me go down in the Sixers and the Flyers locker room, follow the reporter around. My job specifically was to carry the cable for the microphone. Because, after the game, everybody's in the locker room, you're bum rushing the players, you're going from one to the next. And I wore a suit and tie every night that I did that. And people will come up to me and they'd be like, man, I've seen some guys pulling sound cable before, but you are the best dressed sound cable guy that I've ever seen in my life. And it was kind of like, it goes back to, you dress for the part that you want. You want people to take you seriously. So that was something I always had in my mind. But you're right, man. You start doing all the stuff behind the scenes. You learn a little bit about each thing and just work your way up after that.
So it's funny, you mentioned your suit game, man. I think this is probably the most important question I will ask you. What goes into your suit selection, man? Because you have, look, every flavor, every style. Like, you got to tell me, man. You got to tell me.
So let me say this. It goes back to what I just said to you. You always dress for the part that you want. And especially being on television and being, whether it's a reporter or whether it's an anchor, to me, I used to always say to myself, how is anybody supposed to take you seriously, believe in what you're saying, if you're not dressed appropriately and professionally?
Mhm.
And I think that's the truth. And that's something that stuck with me from the second that I got into this industry. I knew that I was going to hold myself to a certain standard, to be dressed professionally and to stand out and wear clothes that pop and kind of separate myself. And that's been my niche since. When I say pop, I mean like bright colors, ties that pop, catch the viewer's attention and look good on air. I feel like it's an absolute blessing, and I'm so lucky to be carrying out, you know, what my dream is and to be doing what I love, that it's an easy job. There are some days that are more difficult than others, you know, especially this past year and a half has been tough for everybody. But at the end of the day, what we do, I don't think it's hard. When you love what you do and you love working with the people that you work with, it's easy. So with that being said, the hardest part of my day to me is picking out what suit I'm going to wear and what tie I'm going to wear. And my wife will make fun of me because I'll sit in there for 20, 30 minutes, literally in the closet, just like, all right, well, I wore this yesterday. I wore this last Tuesday. I can't wear this. I got to mix that. So a lot goes into it. And Nicole Baker, my co-anchor, and I, we try to match every day. So usually we'll be in touch in the afternoon, and she'll be like, hey, I think I'm going with this pink dress today. So immediately I know, boom, right to the pink ties. Got it. So it's fun, man. It is. And I didn't think that the suit thing and the way I dress would take off the way that it did. But if that's my niche and is another way for me to help connect with the viewers, I think that's pretty cool, and I'm all for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, you're at the desk now, you know, your prime time. And, you know, like I said, I've seen you from the beginning, you know, when you're out in the field. So you made that transition to the desk. Like, you know, which one would be your favorite? Because like, I know like being out in the field is a different environment, obviously. And then, you know, between, you know, sitting at the desk reading off a teleprompter.
It is. You nailed it. It is. It's two different beasts for sure. I will say that I love what I'm doing now, and I love when you're on the desk, you're more in control of what's going on, I would say. And I love that. I love being able to go through the different stories of the day, not being focused just on one story, such as if I'm reporting in the field. But I wouldn't be where I am if I wasn't a reporter in this city for 5 years before that. And some people don't realize that. You know, even younger people who come into the station, they think that I just sat right in the anchor chair, and that's not how it worked. You know, I reported in Baltimore for 5 years, covered every story under the sun, literally from the Freddie Gray riots to tornadoes on the Eastern Shore to mass shootings in Hartford County. And all of that and all of those experiences that I went through, and being able to hone my craft in the field and learn how to tell those stories and connect with the viewers helped me get to where I am today, give me that opportunity to get on the desk, and help me become a better anchor. I think that the strongest anchors and the strongest people on the desk are the ones that have a strong background in reporting and have been out there in the communities and have told these stories. So I wouldn't change it for anything. Sometimes people are like, oh, well, you had to report for so many years before you sat on the desk. I wouldn't change that for the world, because that helped me make me a better anchor today, without a doubt. And it's just experiences that really helped me hone my craft. So to answer your question, I love being on the desk. I love where I'm at right now. I feel at home when I'm up there.
You know, I'm glad, you know, I'm not glad you mentioned the mass shooting in Hartford County, but that's one of the things that resonated with me. Seeing you do that, you know, to me, when I look at reporters, I think, you know, some reporters report the news and others report stories. You told a story that day, and it felt, you know, I felt it, you know, watching you do that. And, you know, that's something I've always appreciated. And, you know, I talked about this with a couple of people before, you know, like, I'm like, man, Rick, you know, he does it differently. You know, it feels different watching you on the news. It doesn't feel like I'm watching the news. You know, it feels like I'm just watching you. Like, it's your show. You're the guy telling the story. And, you know, I feel the stories when you tell it, for sure.
I appreciate that, man. Honestly, that means more than you know. And that's, to me, what separates you from other people on air and other anchors is I just want to be myself in front of the camera. I want to be myself when I'm out in the field. I'm a blue collar kid who came up with a family that taught me work ethic. It is everything, and you work for everything that you get. You don't take any opportunity for granted. And as quick as something comes and you have it, it can be gone like that at the snap of a finger. So when I'm out there, I'm just trying to be myself. And, you know, I have a big heart, and I'm thankful for that. And somebody once told me, people ask sometimes, you know, what's the best line of advice you got? Or what was something that somebody said to you that kind of changed you and made you think? When I first got into this industry, when I worked in Atlantic City, there was a head anchor there by Michelle Dawn Mooney, who, and I get even emotional thinking about it. She pulled me aside before I left to Florida, which was my next gig after Atlantic City. And she said, Rick, I have to tell you something. she said, "You have such a big heart, and that's going to take you places in this industry that you can't even imagine." And I didn't get what she meant by that. You know, I was a young 23-year-old kid, and I was like, what is she talking about? I don't get it. What Michelle was telling me was, you stay true to yourself the same way you were brought up, and that resonates with people differently, and they can feel that and they can sense that. And now that I'm older here, 10 years later, yeah, now I get it, because this whole time I've been myself, blue collar kid from Philadelphia. You know, I can relate to anybody and what they've been through, and being out in the streets and working these stories and seeing what people go through. Just because I'm on the desk doesn't mean I'm going to change that. I'm the same guy as I was 10 years ago. And I think it's important to never forget where you come from. You know, don't take anything for granted. Just work hard for what you have, work to get better every single day, compete, and just find a different way to connect with the viewers and let them know that you're real. So for you to tell me that, that makes me think that I am doing what I want to do. And again, it means more than you know, Eric.
Yes, sir. Definitely appreciate that. Now, before I let you go, you know, I'm a sports guy. I have to ask you about your quarterback situation in Philly, because I have a presentation. I mean, not a presentation, a prediction. I said this to my mom a couple of weeks back, because me and my mom, we are here with the sports stuff, right? And she's a big Ravens fan. And I told her, I said, look, I think Joe Flacco is going to go up there to Philly. I think he's going to, I don't know. He might sling it a little bit. I say he takes over and wins the East. That's just how I think. I don't know, man. I saw some flashes of old Joe when he was in New York last season, and they wouldn't let him go because they were tanking. I'm just like, listen, man, I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to be the guy this year. I don't know. I think Flacco might have one more left in him. That's just me.
I thought you were going to ask me about the Sixers. Come on,
no. Oh, no. Look, we can talk about the Sixers, because look, I hope they run into Miami this season. I'm in the playoffs, because you know that's my guy. I'm a Jimmy Butler and the Heat. You know I love the Heat, and you know it's gonna be a good one. Who they got? They got the
Wiz.
Yeah, the Wizards of the first round. That's gonna be a good series.
All right, we'll stick to your question here with football. So we do the Purple Playbook show. It airs every Sunday. Me, Mark Viviano, Torrey Smith. We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. Here's what I'm going to say. And there's some Eagles fans who are not realists, and there's others that are, okay? I'm a realist. All right, I'm going to give it to you the way that it is. Flacco was brought in to compete. This new head coach, Nick Sirianni, wants everybody to compete at every position. Competition brings out the best in everyone, okay? We used to say that in college football all the time. When you have somebody pushing you for your spot, it makes you go faster, and it brings out the best in you. That is why Joe Flacco was brought in. If Joe comes in and Joe is slinging it, like anything to the way he was, and he's going to be motivated. He's in his own backyard, okay? Went to Audubon High School. All of his family's still in Jersey. He's got places at the Jersey Shore. This is an opportunity for him to be at home and potentially win a starting quarterback job. If he comes in and he is slinging it, no matter what we think about Jalen Hurts, and I'll get to him in a second, the Philly media will write about that, and Joe will get his opportunity. It will happen. Now, that would be a great story. Come on, a guy on the tail end of his career, coming back home. Nobody thinks he has anything left in the tank, and he goes out there and lights it up. If he does that in camp, I'm telling you, he will get the opportunity. On the other side, though, the Eagles don't have a choice but to hand the keys over to Jalen Hurts, because he was picked in the second round. Probably shouldn't have been picked there, but they did it, okay? And because they did that, they missed out on Justin Jefferson last year. They missed out on giving Carson Wentz another weapon, and that is why this whole situation happened. You don't take Jalen Hurts and you take Justin Jefferson in the first round, there's probably a chance that you could argue that Flacco and Jalen Hurts wouldn't be in Philadelphia right now, and Carson Wentz would still be here. Hurts is the future. They have to hand him the keys because they have no other choice. I think he will get every opportunity to lose the starting job. He gives them a chance. If this line isn't up to par, he can run around back there and make things happen. But Eric, you nailed it, man. Flacco's coming in motivated, and if he is slinging it again, the media will write about it, and it could be Joe Flacco time in Philadelphia, and that would be quite the story, my friend.
For sure. Well, man, thank you, Rick. I appreciate your time. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on. If there's anything else you want to say before we, end this, just the floor is yours.
No, man, I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate you thinking of me and having me on as well. I just want to use this last couple seconds to say how proud I am of you and everything that you've been able to do. You mentioned that, we started talking on Twitter a couple of years ago. I knew this was an industry that you wanted to get into. You wanted to break through. You worked hard. You believed in yourself. You put the work in. You put the time in, which a lot of people don't do. And now look at you, you're growing by the day and blowing up. And I'm super proud of you. I love being able to see that and can't wait to see what else you do in the future and what big things you have ahead. It's been a pleasure to follow you, man.